What's up, everybody? How we doing? We got Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. We are gaming, playing one of the best games out there. We're gonna play 2K22 MLB style. I already started playing this, obviously. So, I got my boy here, my good friend, one of my best friends, Drew, the head of the table, Nicholas. What's up, bud? How you doing?
I'm still sick, but getting through it.
Hey, at least one thing you could wave to Amanda. She's watching. I can hear the recoil all the way in the other room.
Oh, hello, Amanda. Hope I don't sound too terrible.
Um,
I will mute when I
we,
have to cough.
So we're gonna play some games. We're gonna talk wrestling here and there, just all that stuff, but mainly just have fun and just kill some time and stuff. Because we didn't have a show this week, because I wasn't feeling too great. I'm actually feeling a lot better now. But I figured this is something we haven't done in a while. We haven't been on this channel gaming a little bit, so why not, right? So are you still watching any sports other than like wrestling right now?
No. I've been hearing how good the Yankees have been doing lately, but I just am like, I know that eventually they're going to lose if they haven't lost already, and then everybody is going to melt down and the sky is falling, and it's just like, whatever. I usually get into it around like June. I give it one more month and then I start watching.
Something's up with the controls.
You should like kind of lower the volume on that just a little bit.
What,
Yeah.
on the
game?
On the game?
Yeah. Yeah, but I have not really consistently been doing podcasts since about WrestleMania for various reasons. I would do hits and misses with Joel Pearl on Fightful Overbooked, but right before WrestleMania, he got a new baby in his life, so he wasn't able to podcast for a few weeks. And then I got COVID, and I haven't been able to podcast for a few weeks either. So I did one show. I've done one podcast since I've been sick, and that was with this guy on Body Slam when the NXT releases happened, and actually we did a podcast that week that I got sick. We did the NXT podcast on Body Slam together.
Yep, we did.
Oh, look who's here.
What up?
Not much, dude. Playing MLB 2K.
So Xbox Live is working for you? Because I've been seeing apparently it's down for some people.
There's nothing more exciting than seeing a guy going from the amateur game to the pro.
It's working right now.
Perfect. There we go. Oh, that's a nice crowd noise, actually.
Your attention, please. A reminder.
It sounds like the Thunderdome, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, that does sound like Thunderdome crowd noise.
Mm-hmm. And not the Mad Max Thunderdome. We all know what Thunderdome we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling Thunderdome. Yeah. The worst type there is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the controls work, because it seems like they're being iffy right now.
Maybe that's an Xbox issue.
Could be.
So we did the Body Slam NXT show the week that I got sick, and I just really haven't been podcasting since. So I kind of miss it a little bit, but I know that I also sound like I'm going through puberty right now. So I'm not a big fan of how my voice sounds, but I decided
you don't sound like you're going. You don't sound like it to me like you're going through puberty. To me, you sound normal.
I was supposed to mute. My apologies. I sound normal to you?
Well, I mean, like you sound like you're sick, but other than that, like you don't sound like you're going through puberty. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
is it me? Like I'm pressing A and nothing's doing. Maybe if I disconnect it. Like, remember how when we had problems with Anakin previously, I had to disconnect it from the.
Are you playing via streaming on your computer, or are you going directly?
Yeah, on the computer. Yeah, on the computer.
Yeah.
We didn't plan this before I hit the live button, y'all. So
see, what you need to do is you need to see about getting a capture card, because then
I have one, but it doesn't want to play playing remotely.
No, that's what I'm saying. So like the way it works is it's taking all the information directly from your Xbox and feeding it to your computer. So instead of your computer like basically being like a second screen for your Xbox, and then that's how you're streaming it. You're getting it direct. Yeah. So instead of doing the remote play like this, the capture card, it's basically coming to you like it's just like a live feed, but you're not mirroring anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I got one, but it needs to be connected a certain way.
Wow, you really know a lot about this.
I looked into it when I was looking like, okay, how, if I was to stream, how would I do it? And I was, I was looking up stream decks and stuff, and that's what
Let's see if this works.
That's what
if it is, then
Pearl uses when they do the Thursday night Mario Kart streams with Steven Jensen. They're using a capture card.
Yeah, I do not have the computer to do any type of gaming at the moment.
Me neither.
I did want to upgrade, but it's just way too much money right now.
At some point, I might, but I'm going to start saving up money, and then I can get if I can get my credit score up high enough and have enough money saved for down payment come December, I'm going to see about actually getting a new car.
So it might be I just have to log into the game all set up first. Looks like I'm logging into Gears fine.
Well, it looks like we're not playing MLB 2K22.
It's okay.
That's fine. I mean, I'm not playing anyway. You're the one playing. So.
Achievement. There you go. Drew, have you gotten a chance to see? There's a really bad echo.
Oh, yeah, there's an echo, and now I'm echoing. Why?
Yeah.
Probably because I'm on I don't have my mic on.
How do we hear you then?
Well, I'm using the mic on the laptop.
Oh, is the speakers? Like, are you getting sound from the speakers?
You probably are.
No, are you?
No, I'm not getting anything from the speakers. I have my headset on.
This is the... Oh, God, I hate hearing myself.
Yeah, somehow...
I'm going to probably have to mute the sound off on everything else.
Can you undo what you just did?
Let me hold on. Let me try something. Okay, Drew, talk.
Oh, okay.
That's it. It's somehow okay. That's what it is.
Now it's back.
Yeah. You know what it is? Because he's mirroring. From there, it's taking the sound from the game, but it's also taking the sound that his computer is receiving from home.
Is that going to happen the whole time?
This is Chris Singleton, and welcome to MLB The Show.
If we mute the game audio,
if you move the game audio and just have the regular, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So you can hear it. There you go. So you should still be able to hear your actual natively through your headphones, but we're not hearing it. Yeah, see, that's what it is. Anyway, Drew, have you gotten a chance to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Oh
Are
no,
you?
I'm not going to. No.
No.
I'm not really a movie person, like going
Ah.
to the movies. So I saw
It's
one
probably
movie.
gonna be in Disney Plus the latter half of the year, anyways.
Sure. Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's what I mainly do. I've seen one movie in the theater, and it's that.
Infinity War,
Seen
not
two.
Endgame.
Oh no, it was Endgame. Is that
Oh.
a poster for Infinity War?
That's Infinity War.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. It's no, it was,
I'm a dork. I know these things.
it's
I recognize that poster right away. Yeah. So you didn't see No Way Home?
I
Theaters?
did not. So this is funny.
Wow.
I bought it off of Comcast because you could buy that off of them and pay $20 for it.
Hmm. So in 2019, when Endgame came out,
Mhm.
I didn't see any Marvel movies previous to it. Oh, okay, wait, no, that's a lie. Hold on. I was starting to watch Marvel movies leading to it.
You just jumped
However,
right into Endgame.
no, I did not. I
Okay.
saw a couple. I don't even remember which. I know I saw the first Iron Man. I think I saw the second Iron Man. I saw the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I saw the first Avengers movie, I think. And I saw no, I didn't see the first one. I saw the Infinity War.
Okay.
Because the same time that I was planning to go and see Endgame was the week where my other cat, I have one cat, but I used to have two cats, and that was the week that I had to put my cat to sleep because he started regressing. He had had cancer, and we started doing treatment, and then it didn't end up working anymore, so we had to say goodbye. And it was that week, so the Sunday that week was our tickets to Endgame, and then Saturday was when the bad thing happened.
Okay, so it has to be.
Oh,
Well, I guess we're not playing MLB because
Why did it freeze up on you again?
It gotta be just MLB themselves, because if I'm able to play Gears like this and the controls work, then something else is going on. Did I press the right campaign? We'll find out in a minute.
So long story short, that was the same week, so I had to deal with all that stuff. So I didn't get to watch all the movies that I wanted to watch because I was dealing with other things. But I watched the movies that I mentioned. And of course, so the night before we went to see Endgame, that was the day that I had to put my cat to sleep. And I tell my partner, I'm like, he had seen it before when it had come out in the theater, I think like 2 years prior or whenever it was. And I was like, okay, there isn't going to be like any crazy sad shit in this movie, right? And he was like,
in
and
Endgame?
he was like, no, I don't think so. I think it'll be all right.
He lied.
Well, I mean, not on purpose, but
he lied.
So needless to say that the Spider-Man moment broke me in a way that I had never been broken from a movie before.
Yeah.
And
some movies do that though. Like the whole thing, like Han dying by his son's hand. A lot of people got upset about that.
I think people got upset about that though because they were mad. They thought it was a bad story decision. It wasn't like they got upset like they were at least from what I can remember from way back when. They were mad at how it was handled and not that and they weren't upset about it happening like it was a real character. I gotta say, I commend you for watching Endgame, having seen so few of the movies, because that movie in particular has so many callbacks to earlier films. I mean,
Yeah.
even like I mean, from like, you know, from Falcon, when he first appears and he says to Cap, on your left, to Spider-Man saying activate instant kill mode, to Cap picking up the hammer and Thor going, I knew it. Like, there's so many callbacks to different
callback was that? What movie was that callback?
Oh,
I saw that movie.
The one about Cap picking up the hammer and Thor going, I knew it. So in Avengers: Age of Ultron, which is the one where James Spader voiced this robot, basically, Ultron. First time you see Vision, first time you meet Wanda, right before Ultron first shows himself to the Avengers. They're all sitting around in Avengers Tower after there's been a party, and they're talking about Thor's hammer and about the idea of picking it up. And so many of them are like, you know, oh, it's a trick. And so Thor puts the hammer down on the coffee table and is like, all right, go ahead. And pretty much everybody tries to pick it up. Like Tony at one point gets some Iron Man gauntlets and tries to pick it up, and even has War Machine try to help him. Hulk tries to do it and then fakes like he's gonna turn into Hulk. Cap goes to do it, and you hear it move just a little bit, and Thor's face goes from like smiling, he's like, oh, nobody can do it, to all of a sudden like, wait a minute, what? And he kind of gets a little freaked out, but Cap doesn't pick it up, and he's like, no, can't do it. And Thor's like relieved, like, okay, good.
Yeah.
So that pays off in Endgame when he picks up the hammer, and Thor's like, I knew it, because he knew Cap really could have picked up the whole time. He just didn't, because he's like, that's like, it's not important for me to show that I can pick it up. I know that I can. That's enough, and I don't need to give Thor a hard time about this.
Okay, I actually watched the first Thor movie as well. It just reminded me.
See, that was I enjoyed that one. The Asgard stuff was really cool. The stuff on Earth was, for the first Thor, I thought fell flat.
Oh, I hated the stuff with that woman. I
what?
hate that. That was like the woman that they like have like a lovey thing with.
Oh,
like,
and Natalie Portman.
Yeah, I was like, what's the point of this?
Now I will say this: she's back in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh fuck!
No. No. This is good. Here's why.
She died.
Because no. Here's why. They're doing the Lady Thor arc. In the comics, Thor at some point becomes unworthy of lifting the hammer, and so he basically loses the ability to really be Thor. Eventually, a new Thor shows up, and it's a woman, and she's picking up the hammer. And part of the mystery is, who is this new Thor? You eventually learn it's Jane Foster, who's Natalie Portman plays. And she was considered worthy to pick up the hammer. There is a catch, though. I'm not going to spoil it, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be in the film. But there's a really cool kind of twist to it. But if you've seen, we've gotten two official images of Natalie Portman in the movie. One is from the end of the trailer, and then we just a day or two ago got a new picture, and like, she is jacked in them. Like, she is jacked, and people are very excited about this. Plus, it's the sequel to Thor Ragnarok, easily the best Thor movie. Like, you need to see Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I want to kind of like go back and rewatch it from scratch, only because I didn't really get to appreciate it the way that you know, because that week that I think it was like a week and a half or so. Like, well, I came back from a trip to Philadelphia, and then we kind of started watching it, but then my cat stopped eating again, and then we had to go through that whole thing, and so I didn't really get to watch as much as I wanted to. And then what
Yeah.
I did watch, I didn't really get to enjoy that much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do want to go back and kind of redo that. And thankfully, with like Disney Plus, most of it is
Oh, it's
on there.
yeah. The only ones that aren't on there are the Spider-Man films, which is Homecoming, Far From Home, and No
That
Way
is a
Home.
travesty.
So but they're
I
so
understand
they're
it's like
Sony.
a Sony thing and whatever.
Yeah. So I would say so. Okay, so of the movies before Endgame, the thing about Endgame is that it even made Thor: Dark World, which is pretty much universally agreed as the worst of the Marvel movies. It even made that one relevant simply. And so you saw Endgame, right? You said.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Thor and Rocket go back in time, they have to get the reality stone. They're going back to the events of Thor: The Dark World. So it's one of those things where it's like if you watch that, it's like, this is cool because I have a better understanding of things because I've seen this. It's still not it's okay. It's better than like pretty much 90% of the DC EU movies.
Right.
Like for sure.
I haven't watched any of those either, by the way.
Those are so Man of Steel, I enjoyed. It's not how I would have done a Superman, but I enjoyed it. Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition is pretty good. Wonder Woman, the first one, is really good. The 2017 Justice League, don't bother. Like, trust me.
Okay.
Do not bother. It is. I put that movie, which I call Justice League, because it's really Joss Whedon's Justice League. I call that I put that movie in the same category as X-Men Origins Wolverine and Catwoman. Like they're that
Really?
bad. Yes. They are on that F tier. It's like this is an abomination of a movie. This had no reason to be made. Thor: The Dark World is nowhere near that level. It's the worst MCU movie, but there's still enjoyable things in it. But I mean, the first Ant-Man, that's really fun. That's a really fun heist. That's a really fun heist movie, and it's Paul Rudd. I mean, Paul Rudd is great in pretty much anything he does. You know, Guardians 1. You said, you know, did you like that one?
Speaking of which, didn't they just wrapped up the third one?
They did. Yep. They just wrapped shooting for that principal photography. So now they start working on it. We're getting the holiday special on Disney Plus in December, which will lead into Guardians 3 next year. But Guardians 2 is really good. That's a lot of fun.
There's a turd.
The Captain America movies, the first one is enjoyable.
I watched that.
It's good.
Yeah.
Which one? All three of them?
The first one.
The first one. Yeah, that's enjoyable. Winter Soldier, so many people still say Winter Soldier is the best of the MCU movies. Like, it's that good. It's
Okay.
Are you talking minus Infinity War Saga, or are you including?
There are people who think it's better than those because the thing about Winter Soldier is it is a more focused story, and it really asks some interesting questions, and you know about different political issues like safety versus freedom, and and fear of that stuff. And the action is superb. Like, so and again, I can talk about Endgame freely because it's been out for 3 years now, for 2 years now, 3 years now at this point.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, the scene in Endgame when they're in the past, Cap steps in the elevator with all the Hydra agents, and then he says "Hail Hydra." That is a callback to a scene from Winter Soldier where there is this incredible fight scene in an elevator. Like, it's incredible. and people and
It's also a throwback to the comic too, because they did a spin-off comic of Steve Rogers actually working for Hydra.
yeah, well,
Or,
it wasn't
well,
the
for
real.
Russia, but
Yeah, it wasn't the real Steve Rogers, but that scene itself is a callback to actually what happened in Winter Soldier, and people were very excited when they saw this, and it's like, oh, so that movie is incredible. Civil War is also really good, and really raises interesting kind of questions that actually, in light of the protests in 2020, are kind of more relevant. And then so yeah, Doctor Strange, the first one is good and and fun. Really, once you get to like phase 3, which starts with Captain America: Civil War, all the way through Spider-Man: Far From Home, there's not a bad movie in that phase.
Yeah.
Phase 4, what we're in right now, has been a little bit hit or miss. Like Black Widow was fine. Actually, Black Widow is worth watching just to see Florence Pugh, who, if you saw Fighting with My Family, she
I did
played.
not.
She played Paige in that.
Okay.
She played the Paige role, which she was was really good in that. But she's in Black Widow as Scarlett Johansson's sister, and she's a lot of fun. She's
Okay.
she's like instantly one of the new favorite characters in the MCU.
they're gonna keep her on for a while. So that's the best part.
And they should because she's amazing. Shang-Chi is really good. That's the best origin. That might be a better origin story than the first Iron Man. Like, it's really good.
Okay.
Eternals is really kind of hit or miss because
Big
somebody's
party
here.
all of a sudden.
I don't know. My niece is here. Hold on.
Surprise.
Hello. Either way, the Marvel movies stand for time. It's like, you could always find a good one and realize,
Yeah.
that you can't go wrong with anything different.
I'm definitely going to go back and, I've been wanting to do it for forever. And ironically, I've been home for 2 friggin' weeks. You think maybe, oh, let me go watch those movies. And I haven't watched a single one.
My niece showed up in her prom dress, so.
Oh.
So it's like, okay. So yeah, Eternals is one. Some people really dig it, and some people are like, I don't like, or like, ooh, it really didn't work for me. That's one of those.
It was okay. It wasn't a really bad movie.
No, and that's true. Again, none of these movies are on the level of Justice League, Catwoman, X-Men Origins. None of them are. It's just a thing where it's just like we got so used to such a high bar that, like, if stuff doesn't meet that level, people are kind of like, like, it's it's really hard. I would say the Disney Plus shows are kind of have been the more uneven ones. Like WandaVision.
Oh, Loki. Oh my God, Loki is freaking.
Like WandaVision is incredible. That's really good, especially if you watched like I Love Lucy and Partridge Family and like stuff like that, because every episode has a plays out like a family sitcom episode from a different era. So like the first episode is from like the 50s, and then the second episode is reminiscent of like Bewitched in the 60s, and the third episode is like Partridge Family in the 70s, and then it skips the 80s and goes right to the 90s, and then it goes, and then the last thing, and then it does the 2000s, and it very much feels like Modern Family, and then ends really well. Loki was Loki was good. I'm not as high on Loki as other people were.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of people go, "Oh, that's the best of the Disney Plus shows." And for me, I'm like, I don't know. What If is fun. That's it's animated, and the idea is like what if things that we know happened in the MCU, what if just instead of this happening, this happened? Because it's based off of a comic book series where like what if Gwen Stacy got bit by the spider instead of Peter Parker? Or like the first episode of What If is what if Peggy Carter got the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers? And the animation is really cool. The Doctor Strange episode is a standout. That's a standout, and it ends in a really fun way. Hawkeye was so good. Haley Steinfeld is such a natural, and her bouncing off of Jeremy Renner, who plays Hawkeye, was like the highlight of that. And then Moon Knight just finished with Oscar Isaac. Then that's one where it's like the last 2 episodes were really good, but the 4 episodes before it, people are kind of like gum all over the place. Some really dug it, and some were like, "Oh, it was kind of a like it was more of a mixed bag." But again, none of it's bad. None of it's like absolutely terrible. But it is one of the things where it's like Phase 4 is not. It's just not at the same level of quality as like Phase 3 of the MCU was, and it is what it is. But it's still fun. There's still fun stuff there, and Multiverse of Madness, if you should really watch WandaVision before you go and see Multiverse of Madness, because the story that Wanda goes through in that show really has a big impact on her, and you see the full impact of it in Multiverse of Madness. Okay. It also would help to watch What If. I don't think it's as required. Definitely like WandaVision is the one where I'm like I would really recommend it. But it was really good. It was a lot of fun, and
I'm just hyped that the Loki season 2 is going to be happening. Also, did you hear the news that Ewan McGregor's spinning off onto Star Wars, because that's coming up at the other month? He wants to do a season 2 of this whole series now.
He hopes to, yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. I saw the first season of The Mandalorian. I haven't seen any of the other Disney Plus
haven't either.
Star Wars stuff.
I saw all the episodes on one. I've watched some of the 2, but
my thing is that based on what I had heard about characters that appear in season 2, I was like, okay, I really need to watch Clone Wars. Maybe Rebels too, but at least Clone Wars. And I've heard people say, "Oh, you don't really need to." And I'm like, well, I want to have that kind of excitement for it, but it also is just season 1 was fine, but it wasn't it took a while to really get going. It took a long time, and by the time it finally really got cranking, I was like, I don't, it never felt like a must watch for me, if that makes sense. It never felt like, oh, I can't wait for next week. And even hearing what who popped up at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I'm like, cool. I think part of it for me, honestly, is I have been a fan of so few of the Disney era Star Wars stuff. Force Awakens was great. Rogue One was great. Everything since Rogue One, I have been pretty
I wasn't really a fan of Rogue
Apathetic.
One, but you're also talking about somebody that's grew up watching all of these movies.
Oh, so did I. I mean, I grew up watching the original trilogy before the special edition. You know, I was 10 when the special edition came out, which but I'd seen the original versions countless times. Like, I'm not one of the ones who's like beholden to the original theatrical versions of those films, because I think for the most part, I think a lot of the changes they made like were improvements. I think, and I personally don't find it as big a deal, about Han shooting first as so many others do. Like, so many people got so upset about that, and I'm like, just doesn't bother me. But Last Jedi, I really like. I haven't seen Last Jedi since theaters. Honestly, I have not watched it start to finish since theaters. Rise of Skywalker, I saw one time in theaters, and Rise of Skywalker was like that was a garbage truck on fire for sure.
I was never honestly a Star Wars person until more. I mean, I had some friends who were like obsessed with Star Wars. Had the whole box set of 4, 5, and 6 original.
Another person, my mom, speaking of Mother's Day, my mom had the whole original 4, 5, and 6 on VHS, mind you. And she was like, do you want a DVD player or want that? So I wanted a tape player because obviously, I wanted to watch those. And it's the weirdest thing because people don't realize certain movies get you closer to your parents and stuff like that. But every time there was a Star Wars movie or something, me and my mom ended up going. Like, that's why there's a running joke with me and her that, of course it had to be me to have a seizure while freaking Yoda was fighting. I mean, come on now. I mean, it was one of those things where, like, I don't remember seeing episode 2 at all. I had to go rewatch it, and that literally ticked my mom off. And the next thing you know, later that afternoon when she goes to work, there I am. I'm in the hospital after having a catatonic colonic seizure. So, it's when people talk about the Star Wars series, the first thing that pops in my mind is just sitting in the theater watching it with my mom.
Yeah, I never saw any Star Wars movies in theater that I can recall. Maybe I saw.
You didn't see any of the prequels as a kid?
No. Because I was really like I think when I turned like 11 or 12, that's when I kind of started watching them, but it was never anything that I was that interested in. Honestly, I was interested in the first season of The Mandalorian, I think more than any. Well, I mean, can't you tell? Look up here.
I can't. I really. Hold on. Let me solo you a second so you can point it out. Oh, I see him. Okay. Yeah.
So, that was really like I was like obsessed with the little thing. So, that was like the first thing of Star Wars that really like grabbed my attention. But then other shit happens, and like I haven't seen a single episode of the second season, even though I was interested in seeing Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I heard
And-
she did a tornado DDT. I was like, that's cool.
That's interesting.
That's what I heard. Again, I haven't seen it. That's what I heard. But this is interesting.
What?
Mia Yim
saw?
Mia Yim signed with Impact.
That was
Nice.
actually spoiled.
Yeah, Laredo
Kid.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I just saw it come up on my feed too. I really thought she would have gone to AEW. I'm surprised, but I mean, Impact is great, so
yeah.
I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I have just had practically zero interest in watching any kind of wrestling over like last month. I don't, and I think I really do think it is just I'm just going through a little bit of light depression because ever since my grandpa died, it's like I've had no interest in it. I've had trouble sleeping sometimes. Like I'm like, you know, I do good if I'm playing games or watching movies, talking about comic books and all that stuff. But when it comes to wrestling, I'm just like I haven't even bothered trying to listen to like the Fightful post shows. I'm like, I just don't even really care about like what's happening. So like, then Throwback was like, hey, can you send me your picks for tomorrow? And I had to go, what's tomorrow? And I was like, oh, that's on. I'm like, I don't even know like what's on the. I don't even know what's on the card. I don't know what's been going on. I know absolutely nothing. And
I didn't even know what was on the call. I had to look it up because
and I
Um,
barely have any kind of idea of what's been going on in AEW, and it's just I don't know what it is. It's just this weird.
well,
It's
it's been
just
better than WWE, but
well,
not
sure,
100% because
but yeah, it's just weird funk I'm in. I guess like I don't know, like I just
It's just something normal you're going through
yeah,
that
yeah
you never had the time to process everything that you had to go through. You were, being a dad, obviously, it's like, you're in go mode 24/7. So it's like,
yeah
did you even have like a second to, check everything, make sure, everybody was okay, make sure your kids were okay, stuff like that.
yeah
Your mind just was like straight, okay, it's not about me, it's about my kids. And that's honestly what every parent has to do.
mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting how you didn't give enough time for yourself to be like, hey, I have to make sure I'm okay. I got to make sure my kids are okay. I got to make sure everybody else is okay.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And you didn't take time for you. So
yeah.
that's why you're feeling that way.
My thing isn't depression. My thing is one. Was sick as a dog 2 weeks ago, and
Sure.
I just didn't watch any. I haven't really watched that NXT show that we did. Not the releases one, the Body Slam, the one after that. What was it, 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the last WWE show I've watched. I did not watch SmackDown that week. I've not watched Raw or NXT or SmackDown the last couple of weeks, and God, do I feel better for it. It's just, and I haven't, like I was saying before, I haven't done my show with Joel, the hits or misses on Fightful Overbooked. One, because he had a kid, so he wasn't able to do the show the first 2 weeks, and then I got
Mm-hmm.
sick, and I haven't been able to do the show. So I have, since WrestleMania, I haven't done the hits or misses, and I'm just okay with that right now because I kind of don't even want to watch WWE. So it's kind of not like it's even really a requirement for me to watch WWE, but yeah, like everything. There's like the little snippets that I'm following, like the Kevin Owens and Ezekiel thing is legitimately funny.
The only thing I know about that is what I saw on the Raw after Mania when he came out and
Oh,
Owens
you have to watch. You have to watch.
You're Elias, and it was I know.
Oh, the lie detector segment is so funny. It's so funny.
Like the Raw after Mania. That's honestly goodness the last wrestling show. Like, well, actually, no, that's not true. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. I thought maybe I caught the Dynamite after WrestleMania, but now I'm not even. No. So the last full show I watched was the Raw after WrestleMania. I did see Young Bucks and FTR 2, and then Adam Cole versus Christian, and that's all that I saw from that episode of Dynamite, and I haven't seen anything else since. So I know like Wheeler Yuta has officially completely left Best Friends, and is now part of the group
Blackpool Combat.
Yeah, I know that. I know Statlander is no longer going as an alien she's now being billed as being from, I think, New York, or New Jersey or wherever it is she's from.
I
And
think
she,
New Jersey.
yeah, and she's a regular human. But I just I
The
don't know.
Blackpool Combat Club is the best thing in wrestling right now.
I
It
heard
really
he
is.
had an incredible match with Moxley on Rampage.
Oh,
Like, I heard that, and I was like, okay, well, so, at some point I probably will catch up. But it's like, I don't know how much interest I really have in, in getting Double or Nothing, and it's not because I think the product would be bad. It's just that's just how I am. Like, I've got tickets to see AEW in Detroit in June, and honestly, if I wasn't going with my son, I would seriously being like, do I really want to go? Not because I don't think that I think the show would be bad, just because like that's just how uninterested I've been in it, and it's just
that show might revitalize it for you.
maybe that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that like that might do. I'm like, oh no, this is actually in fact good. I'm hoping, because I'll tell you what I don't have. I faithful to it right now is the AEW game. Because, oof.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going very well.
Well, having Embracer Group as your publisher, like
that was the group that WWE 2K20 was.
No.
Right?
So Embracer Group. Okay, so I had a whole conversation about this on Discord. So WWE 2K. I don't remember who the developer is of it, but the publisher is Take-Two. Take-Two owns, among other things, they own Rockstar. So they own Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. They own the NBA 2K. They own BioShock.
They own a lot.
Borderlands.
Basically.
Yeah. They've got a lot of stuff. Now Embracer Group. So when THQ, like THQ as we knew it, who had made the WWE games, when they went bankrupt in 2013, Embracer Group came along, and then they were just known as Nordic Games. They came along and they bought a lot of stuff. Like, they started buying a lot of stuff, IPs and stuff, everything. They also bought the THQ name and rebranded themselves as THQ Nordic. Since then, they've started like a separate like publisher known as THQ Nordic, but they own like other smaller publishers and stuff. So they've renamed themselves the Embracer Group. They are notorious for they do a lot of just buying up of studios and IPs. Like, it's kind of the thing. Like, it's one of the things where it's like, where it's like, oh, this is for sale. Well, I wonder how much Embracer Group is going to try to get for it. And it's never like big IPs, really. Like, I think the biggest IP they own is Saints Row. That's probably the biggest one. But they'll buy a lot of like just small like stuff that like, yeah, it's known, but it's not like huge franchises, huge IP names and name recognition stuff. And the fact is that it's like their games, it's like, oh yeah, it's out, it's there. Like, it might be cool, but it's not stuff. It's typically not stuff that you would think of as being like, oh, this is like game of the year contender. And not everything needs to be game of the year contender, but it also is like, it's not something that's like super popular. Like, again, like Saints Row is like the biggest thing that they've got, but even since then, like, they haven't released a Saints Row game as Embracer Group yet that that has kind of been like at that same level. And now they're the rumored publisher for the AEW game, and
isn't the group not the publisher group, but there's another,
the developer.
What is it? The one that they parted with 2K20.
Yes.
And
So,
the one that Kenny
Yeah,
Omega and them are supposedly not getting along more.
So that's Ukes. Ukes is the
Okay.
one who they did. I mean, they've been making wrestling games going all the way back to WCW NWO World Tour. Like, it's those guys. So not all the same. That studio. It's not all the same talent. Obviously, they've had talent leave and come in. But yeah, and then they were doing the WWE games. When THQ was the publisher, and then when THQ went under, and Take-Two picked up the license rights, they kind of just took the team. 2K20 was the first game not developed by Ukes, and so because then
Oh, okay.
because Take-Two decided, like, oh, we're gonna. I think there was creative differences, because I think Ukes was like, look, we really need to like work on this and really like make this engine good and better. And they were just like, well, we've got the engine, we can just have another team do it, and we got what we got in 2019 with 2K20. So yeah, they have the AEW game. They got the creative director of No Mercy to be the creative director for this, which sounds good on paper, but one thing that I have learned is that time can pass and somebody may not have the stuff anymore. Like the creator of Mega Man, who is, what is his name? This is gonna bug me. But the creator of, I think it's Inafune, I think is the creator. Is it Inafune?
I believe so.
Yeah, that sounds.
They were supposed to make an open world Mega Man, and that never happened.
Yeah, no, maybe it's not Inafune. Who? Anyway, so the guy who made Mega Man went on. Oh no, it was a Minifune. I don't know why I wasn't showing it. He went on to do Mighty Number 9, which was very Mega Man inspired, but it was nowhere near as good. Like Mega Man fans were. Good thing I muted that in time. Like Mega Man fans were very excited to see a brand new game from the creator Mega Man, in like that was supposed to be like very like Mega Man inspired, and it turned out it was just not. It was not good. Yeah. And we've seen other things where it's like the creator of something, he may have been able to make something awesome at this point, but the way gaming's changed and evolved, they just can't do it anymore. And so it's like, well, in theory, having the No Mercy director would be great. In reality, how good is it going to be? I don't know. And I had somebody ask me, well, what does the publisher have to do with the game being made and the quality? Because they're not the ones making the game. And it's like, no, but it does mean that, but the publisher can be like, well, hey, we're going to publish this. We want the game to be a little bit more like this. They can push the developer to make the game a certain way. Also, they're not going to push the game as hard because they don't do that. They don't think of all the advertising 2K22 got. Like, think of the huge advertising it got.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Mega advertising.
Yeah, it was everywhere. You're not gonna get that from the Embracer Group. Like, they also, like, in addition to THQ Nordic, they have Deep Silver, which did Dead Island, or which publishes Dead Island. Like, they do not market their games that way. They have a lot of money because they buy up so much stuff, but they don't invest a lot of money in marketing their stuff. They kind of just rely on word of mouth and stuff. And especially hearing that the game, might be kind of bare bones, and the game that's been in the works for a few years. Like, and some people are like, oh, well, it's going to do, it's going to do fine. It's going to be good. It's probably going to control better than 2K. I was like, well, number one, we have no guarantee how it's going to control until people actually have their hands on it. Mm-hmm. Number two, maybe the game controls better and maybe the gameplay is more fun, but people are going to look at at 2K22 and Fight for the Fallen, or no, and what's the AEW game called? Not Fight for the Fallen. AEW Fight Forever. They're going to look at Fight Forever, and they're going to look at 22, and they're going to be like, okay, well, Fight Forever does control better and have more fun gameplay, but it's not like the gameplay in 2K22 is bad. It's good, and there's a lot more options. There's a lot more customization stuff in there, and it's just one of the things, and if it had been EA or somebody else, I'd been like, okay, they're going to pump money into this game. So it wouldn't just be Tony Khan fronting the bill. They're going to be like, no, this is our shot to really get in this. They're going to pump money into the game to make it better, to make the game bigger and more important. And they would absolutely saturate the advertising space advertising this game. You're not going to get that with Embracer Group, and you're not going to get it. It's just I'm very nervous about the AEW game now, and it's like there's, the other thing too is I forgot to mention this. One of the top guys at Embracer Group, let me see if I can figure out who it was. He actually at one point, like, this is how just much they just weren't thinking. He once did like an AMA on 8chan, which 8chan is basically as close as you can get to being dark web without being dark web. But it's a place where, like, there's child porn on there. Like, there's all sorts of, like, really, like, sick stuff on there. And they decided to host an AMA on there. And that got so much heat, and rightfully so. And it's like, why are you public relations and marketing director, their PR director hosted an AMA on 8chan. Yeah, commonly associated with child porn, racism, and hate speech. And they decide, let's do an AMA on there.
That's not a promising thing.
No, then this is why, and it really is like the only company that probably could have been a worse news for publisher was Activision, because of the business model that Activision has, where basically every studio's been making Call of Duty, not to mention everything that's been going on there since, like, I think August or September of last year. I mean, they're in the middle of getting sued by the state of California for sexual harassment stuff. And Bobby Kotick, who's the CEO, has been accused of knowing about so many of these issues and hiding them, and and paying them off. And he's been accused of stuff himself. And it is an insanely toxic place, and they're like the only publisher that would have been a worse choice than Embracer Group. And so I'm just like, it's one of the things where it's like, you've got Aubrey Edwards there, who made games. She made Scribblenauts, which is an incredible DS game. She knows how to make games. You've got Kenny, who's a big gamer. Like, do you not have people there that understand what Embracer Group is? And it's like, surely you could have gone to any other publisher to get this done. It's like, surely
this is pretty much just what Tony wanted to do. And like, I've not like voiced this publicly before, but that's like kind of my worry with Tony sometimes, because he kind of is like Vince in a way, that this is what he wants to do and he's going to do it his way. And like, okay, he does have better, I think, fan support, in the sense that he's definitely does. I mean, just perfect example, you probably don't even know this. This past Dynamite, they did the crowd lighting the way that they did previously before the pandemic. You know, like it wasn't as dim. They actually brought up the lights again.
hmm
And that was on suggestion of some random Twitter user, AEW fan, that Tony Khan said, okay, we're going to do it. And publicly thanked that Twitter user,
hmm
I think yesterday, after Rampage, of like, hey, crowds look amazing. Thank you for the suggestion. It's like, that's stuff that Vince will never do. Never. So, like, he gets better credit, obviously,
hmm
but there's those behind the scenes things still that Tony does, like, the stuff that happened with Swole and
And
um
Leo.
yeah, and the that I forgot. I think Ella J was the reporter that asked about women's wrestling, and then he
Mhm.
shot her down like immediately.
Yeah.
Like those are those like little Vince McMahon things.
You think
And then,
Tony's
like,
trying to be Vince Jr. though, in some
I
ways?
don't think he's trying to be
I think
Vince
he just
Jr.,
happens to be.
but it's just like a natural personality trait of his.
Yeah.
And that, like, he has to have the book for Dark, Elevation, Rampage, Dynamite,
I mean,
and ROH now.
to be
Like,
fair, compare Dynamite before Tony was like, "No, I'm going to be booking this," and
oh, it's
compare it
better.
to afterwards. I
It's
mean, yeah.
definitely
I mean, like I was not watching on any kind of a regular basis way back then, but it's like Nightmare on Collective wasn't good. Dark Order wasn't good. You had Cody putting in a stupid stipulation of where if he lost the title match at Full Gear, he could never again challenge for the world title. And then it was around the first of the year,
he
2020, where
himself
Tony,
just said now was a bad idea.
and around the first of the year of 2020, Tony's like, no, I'm gonna take the pencil. Buck's all gonna start. It's all gonna start with me, and the quality has noticeably been better. But
It
yeah, I mean, from what I hear, there's still issues with the booking of the women, which go figure. But I mean, as somebody said, that's more, that's really just reflective of the state of the booking of women in North America in general. Like, there's not one company that's doing it incredibly well. Like,
Right.
all of them have got different issues and various issues, and some of them are the same issues. And it's a thing, like
And then
with
not just
WWE.
with the women, but then like ghosting Marco Stunt and Joey Janela.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was not cool. Like, that was not cool. Like, and people were like, hey, CD, you're popping up on BTE as the head of talent relations. Are you really the head of talent relations? And if so, why were you ducking Marco? Like, why weren't you answering him?
Yeah. And is he officially talent relations?
I
I don't even know, honestly.
think so. Let me find out.
But yeah, it's those things that we want to get away from. Those things that we want to get away from with WWE, he's kind of doing. And now, again, you cannot, and there's fucking dorks out there in the universe, the stands of one particular company who say, oh, the Marco Stunt and Joey Janela thing is just like Vince with all the releases. No. It is nothing like that. Nothing like that at all.
Yeah.
Vince is cutting people, 6 months into a however long contract, who have moved to the country just to figure out, working for WWE, and he's cutting
Exactly.
people like
Look at half the people they let go this round for the NXT. A lot of those people they were using to like transition more people into the lifestyle in the US, and they decided to screw it, we're just going to end that up.
Yeah, it's like you cannot compare those two things, and you're just one of those Alfred Fed stands that
Yeah. Well, there's that one woman. She wasn't a wrestler, but she had some other job. She moved to Florida, had a kid. First week of being in the new school for the kid, and she loses her job. Might have even been like the second day, like the kid's second day at the new school, and she gets the news that she's lost her job.
yeah, she was one of the office people.
Yeah, yeah, like
You can't compare the two.
no, you
can't.
can't. Anybody who's trying to compare it is like you are ignoring such basic facts. Was the ending of Marco Stunt's contract and Joey Janela and Big Swole's, was it not handled well? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that can absolutely be criticized.
Yeah.
But do not think that saying, "Hey, we're not going to renew your contract. We're just going to let it expire," and telling somebody, "Hey, we're just going to let you go now," is in any way the same case. Especially because in the case of people with visas, if they're given enough head notice about, "Hey, we're not going to renew your contract," they can use that time to try to see about doing something.
Mm-hmm.
People who in WWE who are there here on visas who got cut, they have the 90 days plus I think they get another 3 months. I think they're given a grace period of another 3 months because for 3 months they're still technically employed, they're still getting paid,
Right.
and then they get a 3-month grace period to try to figure out something. So they essentially will get like 6 months, but it's different if beforehand, like, oh, a contract's not going to be renewed, and it's just
Yeah. And Vince was doing this literally at the start of the pandemic.
oh yeah,
A month into it, 30
oh
something
yeah,
people are cut. It's like no wrestling going on where somebody could switch sides, go to another brand, go into the indies, no independents working at all, and you're cutting all these people. Like no comparisons can be made to what Tony is doing, even though what Tony is doing can be criticized.
oh for sure.
Well, everything in life could be criticized, no matter what it is.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying that the Alfred the Cheese Man type stands out there. That's Alfred Conua, by the way, from Wrestling Inc. You
Oh,
probably don't know what's going on with all
I
that
have
stuff.
no clue.
Oh, he's a big time Fed stan. Big time Fed stan. Don't go on
Big-
his Twitter.
Bigger than Jobber and Junkie.
He's Jobber and Junkie with a platform.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So he's Ryan Satin.
Worse, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he's doing the like what he just did. I think either today or early last night of the. Oh no, yeah, it was today because the Fast Nationals come in and he's the one now posting the AEW Fast Nationals and talking about how terrible their ratings are, and it's just like when he said, oh, he's always about like the casual fan, and AEW is not getting the casual fan, and the United Center is never going to sell out for the AEW New Japan
Oh, that
brand
guy.
show.
Oh yeah.
And
That's not going to be the case, considering like AEW does really good in the 18 to 43.
he's
problem
wrong
with-
about everything. But the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
about social media that is the worst kind of social media
Yeah.
is he knows that he's wrong about everything, and there's evidence to prove that he's wrong about everything,
Yeah.
but he doesn't care.
That's
Because there are people like Jobber, Junkie, this GOC wrestling girl
Oh,
who came out of nowhere.
oh, she's
These
terrible.
types of people
Yeah.
these types of people who are just going to feed into it and keep pushing it, and then stands of those people who are going to keep feeding into it and pushing it too, because
Yeah.
they just want to hate on AEW.
Yeah. It's why, like, I won't mention names, but there's a friend we all have who very much is a big fan of one of these companies. And whenever this person, and oftentimes this person will like tweets, and I see them, they will like tweets that very much do not paint the other company in a negative light, even if that tweet that's getting liked is completely taking things out of context and is actually kind of like factually wrong. And that's just, and that's personally, like,
I
that's
don't know who
frustrating.
you're talking about.
Oh, you don't know? I'll
Type
put it
it.
in the
Yeah,
I'll put it in the
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll put it in the private chat.
Oh.
Now you're making me pause in order to walk.
Don't
do that.
put it on
You're
screen.
on the live
Bro,
thing.
Bro.
Oh well.
All right, put your thing back so it's not on there. There.
Well, I mean,
we'll
I
edit
know
that,
I talk
part of
about
the show.
NXT and stuff like that. I do tote the NXT line a little bit.
No, not you.
Oh, you think it's you?
No, it's not you, Throwback.
No, it's not you, Throwback.
It's not you. It's not you. By the way, I will. Let me. Hold on. Where are you?
Private chat is not private anymore, man.
Yeah. Let me show you this. Look at Natalie Portman's arms in this thing, Drew.
Oh wow.
Look
Good
at
for
those.
her.
Look at her
Unless
arms.
that's CGI. I don't know if that's real.
No. Because there was leaked photos of her on set. Like, somebody just took a picture of her, and like she was jacked in those. Like, she is jacked, and like, and of course,
Wow.
Chris Hemsworth, of course, he's jacked. He, because in the trailer, you actually saw him working out and losing the weight that he got in Endgame. So he, of course, is looking buff. But I mean, good gosh, like, she looks incredible. I cannot.
I was not expecting that. So
I cannot. Now, let me ask you this.
No. I already know your question is.
You already know my question.
I already know what your question is. And
all right. Well, let's see. Does this make, as you said it once with Sasha Banks, does this register a little bit of a shake in on the straight scale for you?
It does not. No.
Okay. Is that what you thought I was going to ask?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I just stay out of those conversations. I'm really smart to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, she looks.
So
she looks great.
She looks incredible, and Tessa Thompson is back as well, and she looks like, I imagine she's going to be in pretty good shape as well, because she was in good shape for Ragnarok, which is definitely, my gosh, Ragnarok. You get to see Ragnarok, and you get to see Jeff Goldblum at full Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
it is a treat. It is a treat. I'll just say this. There's one point where he's like, where he goes, well, anywhere else I would be a million years old. But here, that's all he does. He just goes full Jeff Goldblum, and he's so good.
He's so great. I just saw a couple of days ago. I saw the second. I did not know that there was a second Independence Day movie. By the way,
I haven't seen it, but I knew he was in it.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Not as good as the first one. But
Naturally.
I do appreciate that they brought in. They didn't make it like a complete reboot and none of those characters existed. Like they bring back the old president and Jeff Goldblum and the father. Like
Didn't
people
bring
from the
back
first
Will
movie.
Smith. Didn't
No.
bring him back. They wrote 2 versions of the story. One if they could get him to come back, and one if they couldn't.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, they wanted him to come back. Yeah, they had two scripts planned, and they were I don't and they were like, hey, if we can get him to come in, we'll shoot this one with these scenes, and if not, then we'll shoot this one with these scenes. Like, I don't think he would have been in it a whole lot, but it would have been enough where they would have had some stuff in there and some lines of dialogue would have been changed. They were hoping to be able to get him in, but that was not the case. I forgot too. Well, I didn't forget, but I'd forgotten how much bigger a role he got in the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been watching all of those with my dad and my son getting ready for Jurassic World Dominion, and it's like, yeah, that character really doesn't work well as a main character.
Oh snap!
Yo, you're gonna die.
Big boy.
You're gonna die.
Oh my, that's a big one.
That's a big boy. You know what I am excited for? The Beast Wars Transformers movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say WrestleMania 2 Electric Boogaloo tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Huh?
WrestleMania rehash, aka WrestleMania Backlash.
Oh,
The rematch city.
again.
All rematches.
I
know you don't know. I was kidding.
I haven't even. I'll tell you what. You want to make it simple, throwback? Here it is. Whatever Maggie picks, I'll pick the opposite.
He just wants to give up real quickly and be like, yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea. And you
Oh,
know what?
You almost did the same thing that me and Shane did, because I did my predictions. I didn't look at his. He posted his predictions to Throwback first, and I didn't look at them when I did a mine, because I was like, I don't want to be like influenced or anything. So I just went down the match card and then was like, okay, this person, blah 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 for everything, and then posted it in the chat. And it turns out there's 6 matches, and we are only the same on 2 out of the 6.
Hey,
So-
great minds think alike, right?
I am.
Makes
Well,
it fun though.
except, as Jeannie said on one Saturday morning, great minds think for themselves. I always remember that. I can always hear Jeannie going, great minds think for themselves.
Do you even know what's going to be on the card tomorrow? You don't, right?
The only thing I'm aware of is, for some reason, they decided to not do the tag title unification match, and it's just going to be a 6-man tag as a main event.
It's literally
Which is like, why?
Was the only match that would have had stakes. The only match, and they took it away.
And then there's little bits and things that I've just have casually caught it. Aren't Ronda and Charlotte doing an I Quit match?
That's correct. Yeah. I guess that technically has stakes, because somebody's going to be the champion. So.
And then who's Bianca facing?
Nobody, because she's not on the card. Yeah. Exactly. Not even on the damn card. Now, in their defense, I'm going to play devil's advocate. And this is the devil himself.
This is why I don't care about this company.
Her and Sonya did have a WWE Raw Women's Championship match on Raw, I believe, last week. Am I right, Throwback?
Yep.
Okay. So it's not like she hasn't had a championship match. However, it's not on the pay-per-view. The premium live event. My apologies.
God forbid you say, what it really is.
Bullshit. is what it really is. Because if this is like I tweeted this today, if this type of pay-per-view where no United States champion, no Raw Women's champion, no Intercontinental champion,
No tag
Women's
title
tag
championship
champion,
match.
none of these have
Well,
matches on the
Okay,
card.
to be fair, how much attention do those women tag titles get anyway?
Well,
Be
zero.
honest.
Zero.
Uh-huh.
I don't even remember who the women's champion
Naomi and Sasha. And I
It's Naomi
only
Sasha. Okay.
I only know that because I remember them winning.
I legitimately thought it was still Liv and oh no, wasn't it? Not Liv.
Zelina and Carmella.
Yeah, for like a split second, and then I was like, oh wait a minute, it's Naomi.
No,
and Sasha.
because Carmella, isn't she still on her
No, she's
honeymoon?
not on the honeymoon anymore.
Oh, so Jerry Lawler's finally off of Raw?
Yeah, and
Oh.
I didn't watch like I think 2 of those 3 episodes.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't, yeah, because that's just terrible. But also just like if this is all of those titles, and yeah, the women's title really, the tag titles really like mean nothing at the moment. But I mean, they mean something now because they're on like good people, but they're just not treating it like a big deal.
Like they should.
Yeah. So like, if those 4 titles, I mean, there's really, you could say, more main roster titles than not are not being defended on the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, which is mind-boggling. And there's one guy, the one holding this one behind my shoulder, who has 2 titles, and neither of them are being defended on the pay-per-view after WrestleMania, which is mind-boggling. And if this is what a premium live event is going to be, I want no part of it. Honestly, if this is literally just going to be like, if every show but the big 4 is just going to be a glorified house show with a pay-per-view name, I want no part of that. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Roman is holding the biggest championships for the men's main roster in this company, and none of those titles are being defended on the first show. The show that's called for PR purposes, for viewing eyes, more viewing eyes for casuals, WrestleMania Backlash. WrestleMania is now in the name of the pay-per-view. And neither top men's title is being defended on the show. One women's championship is being defended on the show. That's it. Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. And you have the dorks on Twitter going, oh, well, you should save these for bigger shows. What bigger show besides WrestleMania is there than WrestleMania Backlash? It's got WrestleMania in the name. You gotta wait till SummerSlam? Is there gonna be no title match until SummerSlam? I mean, what's the point? What's the point of having titles? Absolutely ridiculous.
But Drew. I wasn't even putting that. You know as well as I do, they put no value in their titles at all. They put no value in their titles whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I mean,
no bigger time than now proves it, honestly.
Yeah, and it's not just the women's titles; it's the men's titles too.
Yeah,
it's
in both WWE, in the main roster and NXT.
Yeah, I mean, again, Roman got COVID, so what did they do? They panicked, threw Brock Lesnar in the WWE title match, and had him win the title, pinning the champion, and only to then lose it 3 weeks 3 weeks later, then wins the Royal Rumble, says, I'm going to challenge for the Universal title. I'm also claiming my WWE Championship rematch, which he gets in Saudi, where the man he beat in an Elimination Chamber match, where the man he beat doesn't even get a chance to actually compete and defend. And there's this whole thing of oh, well, he got hurt and he's going to be out for a while. And then it turns out he comes back and wrestles at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Seems to be doing fine. There's no thought
Crazy.
process.
I'm still so salty at this company for what they did at WrestleMania. I could have been the fucking champion of this podcast right now. I'm so mad that they.
You still have a
decided-
chance.
The first one, though, I wanted to be the first one. Damn it! Maybe I'll be the second one, but I wanted to be the first one. It was very.
But
important.
you could also be the longest reigning one. I mean, there's so many things.
No, that won't happen.
That's not gonna happen.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah, I know. See, the time stone that Doctor Strange had. It didn't get destroyed. I've had it. I've seen 14 million futures, and not a single one of them has Drew as being the longest reigning champion.
God damn, that was a burn.
I
I commend you for that burn.
Well, we'll find out. I'll be announcing it on Thursday, so it's going to be a fun time. I mean, we just killed an hour and a half, me playing video games and just talking around like we always do. So.
Apparently, Aaron is supposed to come in to defend something.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Wanda
He had this stupid hot take of Wanda can kill Superman. I'm like, Aaron, get your butt in here right now, because I will nail you to the wall.
This obviously must be a multiverse thing.
Sort of, but I mean, honestly, like, you don't even need to have seen it, because you can just look at what she did in the, Endgame, where she almost single-handedly beat Thanos. Like, Thanos had to tell his ship to rain fire to start firing down to get them off her. And and Wanda, the Scarlet Witch she's like one of the most powerful beings ever in the MCU. Like, she the highest level mutant. She's one of them. She's an Omega level. She also is. There's another term for I forget what it's called, but where you're the most powerful variant of you that there is. She House of M is this huge comic book storyline where she said no more mutants, and she used her chaos magic, and she significantly dropped the mutant population in the MCU. It used to be in the millions, and she dropped it to a few hundred. And characters we knew lost their powers. Not any of the big ones like Cyclops or Rogue or Jean Grey or Beast or any of those, but definitely known characters lost their powers. She's insane. She is insanely powerful. But for him to claim that Wanda could beat Superman is freaking ludicrous. For no other reason than the fact that, yes, is Superman vulnerable to magic? Yes. But when there was Marvel versus DC in that comic book storyline, it turned out the Marvel magicians could not harm Superman because he was only vulnerable to magicians from the DC multiverse. So Zatanna and Dr. Fate and anybody else who used magic in the DC multiverse, whether it was
Denhausen
or another.
Don't forget Denhausen.
Huh?
Denhausen. Don't forget Denhausen. Denhausen is friends with Superman.
He's not in the DC universe, though.
I know. I was trying to make a joke. I'm putting food away, so I'm still on.
That's about a 2 out of 5 for me.
I didn't get it at all, honestly.
he was trying to make a Danhausen joke.
I know.
Yeah, but no. But and it's the same thing too. Is like Flash, he has no super speed in the Marvel universe because there's no Speed Force. His speed comes from the Speed Force, which is a DC thing. Whereas Quicksilver, who is Wanda's brother, he's a mutant. His speed comes from his mutant abilities. He can super speed in the DC universe all he wants because it's in his body. Even the only
Did
way
my screen
that
just glitch out for a second?
yeah, a little bit. The only way the Flash can run in the Marvel universe is if he's got enough Speed Force stored with him. So he actually would had to wear like a special suit that stored Speed Force, and he could because he was the generator of the Speed Force, but once he's out of the DC universe, he's not actually generating Speed Force because he's not connected to it. So he was able to connect to the Speed Force stored in the suit, but that would get used up, and once it was done, then he'd have to go back to the DC universe and recharge. Quicksilver didn't have to do that. That's why,
Now I'm actually interested now in his in this take, because how will Wanda kill Superman?
Well, again, her magic, the two things that Superman is vulnerable to is kryptonite and magic. The kryptonite has to be from his Krypton.
Right.
Because there's been times where they've tried using kryptonite from another reality, from another universe, but because it's not from Superman's Earth, it doesn't affect him. And this is the thing where when Superboy Prime was running loose and was trying to radically change things, they tried using pieces of kryptonite against him, but he's like, that's not from my Krypton. That doesn't affect me. Magic was the only thing that would. But if Marvel magic doesn't beat or can't hurt Superman, I mean,
Wanda is magic.
Yes,
you go Geek Theory, right?
Yes, she's chaos magic, which is like it's weird because Marvel there's Doctor Strange who does spells. That's sorcery. But then Wanda is witchcraft, which is a different type of magic. In fact, actually, that's the reason why this is the only spoiler for Multiverse of Madness that I'll give you. It's the reason why Strange goes to Wanda, because he realizes, we're not dealing with sorcery, we're dealing with witchcraft. We need somebody who knows witchcraft. And so he goes to Wanda because Wanda knows witchcraft because she uses. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's like me basically saying, arguing that Goku could kill Superman. Like Ultra Instinct Goku could kill Superman to Aaron. And it's literally, you're like, no. No.
The only other way to do it would be to just simply be more powerful than him. But you've got to get him. But you've got to get him away from this. You really need to get him away from the sun, because in the Marvel universe, your best bet is to drain his body of the yellow sun radiation. Because Superman on the
one argument that I wanted to make about the whole Goku Superman thing, I want to change it a little bit and be like, all right, now the question is, if I go Goku, if I go this way, this route with the Dragon Ball versus Superman kind of thing, if I go this route, am I allowed to have Ultra Ego Vegeta and Master Ultra Instinct? Because this is what the question is. What if Ultra Ego Vegeta and Master Ultra Instinct Goku fuse, and then you have the Omni Gogeta versus Superman? Who wins? With no fusion time limit.
I don't even know what words you're saying, to be honest.
I
don't watch Dragon Ball. I don't watch Dragon. I've never. You know this. I don't watch. I've never.
Now you can finally see.
I like that one. That one's my favorite. I don't know why. I was just off camera. We were doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
or this.
I was like, why are you trying to be The Rock?
I don't know. I just love that one for whatever reason.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just, but it's like, if Superman comes to the Marvel universe, your best bet is figure out a way to get all the yellow sun radiation out of him. Because at that point, he can take the yellow sun radiation from the Marvel sun and use it. So your best bet is get him away from it and then deplete him of his his energy. Which, because it's the Marvel universe, he can't store it as much as quickly as well as he can from the DC. He can use it, but he can't store as much, so he would run out a lot quicker. So they did a whole thing about this, and then eventually they did a thing where they did the Amalgam comics, where the DC and Marvel universes actually merged, and you got like Batman fused with Wolverine, which was pretty awesome. And then you had I think you had Superman merge with Captain America. I think it was. So, and Wonder Woman merged with, who did she merge with? I don't remember who she merged with.
Not Catwoman. I mean, it feels like that.
Well, Catwoman is DC also. Like it was specifically like you do a Marvel character.
Right.
And yeah, let me see.
I forgot my farewell. The greatest piece of media that I ever produced is still in here. The thing that says farewell. I loved that video.
Yes.
Was my favorite video I ever did. With all the head of the table shit. That was my favorite thing that I did.
So is Aaron coming in or not?
I don't think so. He hasn't responded. That's it. So Wonder Woman and Storm merged together.
Oh.
So yeah, so you had Super Soldier, who was Superman and Captain America, Darkclaw, Batman and Wolverine, Deadeye, which was Deadshot and Bullseye, Dr. Doomsday, which was Doomsday and Dr. Doom. That's an interesting one. Dr. Strange Fate, who was an amalgamation of Dr. Fate and Dr. Strange and Charles Xavier. And then Spider-Boy, which was Superboy, and then the current Spider-Man, who actually was Ben Reilly, who's a clone of Spider-Man, but he thought he was the original Spider-Man. So the original Peter Parker, who thought he was a clone, retired and let Ben Reilly take over, who was Spider-Man. But then it turns out Ben Reilly was actually the clone. Clone Saga was a whole mess.
That sounds like a soap opera storyline.
There's a reason why the Clone Saga, people do not look back kindly on the Clone Saga, because it really was
Somebody who died in a car crash 10 years ago has suddenly come back.
Oh,
so
here's a fun one. Then there's Captain Marvel. You know who Captain Marvel was an amalgamation of?
I'm intrigued. Who?
So Captain Marvel, as in the Marvel version. However, not Carol Danvers, because she was Miss Marvel. It was the original Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel in DC, who now is known as Shazam. That's who Zach Levy plays in the movies, because that character, it's very confusing. In the 40s, you had Superman, very successful, spawned a lot of copycats. The most successful one was Captain Marvel, done by Wiz Comics, and he would say the name of the wizard Shazam, which would give him all sorts of powers, like the wisdom of Solomon, the speed of Hermes, so on and so forth, like named after like different like Greek deities, except for Solomon, who was a biblical king. And so that was done by a completely different by Fawcett Comics. Then in the 60s, when Marvel starts making all their characters, they come up with Captain Marvel, who's this alien Marvel who goes by Captain Marvel, because by that point, Fawcett Comics, I think they had shut down. I think DC eventually bought them out, but they weren't doing with anything with it. So then years later, DC's like, hey, let's start using these characters that we bought. So like The Question, and there's some others. Captain Marvel is one of them. So for a time, you had Captain Marvel in Marvel Comics and Captain Marvel in DC Comics. Eventually, they're like, it's kind of weird. We have a character named Captain Marvel when our competitor, whose name is Marvel Comics, has a character named Captain Marvel. So then they did the thing where they, in the comic book name, they changed to Shazam, but in the book he was still referred to as Captain Marvel. But then it was like, oh, people started calling him Shazam. So eventually they just changed the character's name to Shazam. And so now Captain Marvel is completely a Marvel character. But the character that Zach Levy plays in Shazam, it was originally named Captain Marvel. So when they did, you take a DC character and a Marvel character and you smush them together to create a new character. They just took the Captain Marvels from each, put them together, and named them Captain Marvel. Oh. And I'm like, okay, well, that was easy.
Interesting new Impact champions, tag team champions, the Briscoes.
Oh.
So they landed somewhere, which is good for them. Because, I mean, we don't need to get into all that stuff. I think we've bored anybody who's watching this enough.
Yeah, why don't we call it a night, too? Because it's been on for about an hour and a half almost. Hour and 40 minutes, actually. Technically, we needed a night like this. It's been too long since I've been streaming, and we've just been talking randomly about everything and anything. So, you can see everybody's handles right there. We're just going to cut it short. You know, just have a good night. Just have fun. Be safe. We're going to raid our friends that love wrestling, by the way. They are blowing off stream right now. You know, softly talking about video games. So go check them out. We're going to be rating him right about now. If you're on Twitch. If not, just have a good night.